So today is my 3-year wedding anniversary, and I can without a doubt say that this has been hands down the most depressing, miserable, horrible 3 years of my life.
How can a marriage be so awful that after 3 years she feels this way?
I have literally never been so depressed. I've never hated another person more than I hate the person that I married. I do everything for everybody in my life, like me, my kids, him. He goes to work and works enough. That's it. He works. Yeah, his job's hard. Yeah, his hours suck, but he works. That is all he does. I am in a different town because I had to take my kids to their football practice. And I asked him to watch our daughter. And you know what he did? He slept. He slept since he got home. What did I do? I did homework. I fed the kids. I took my son to speech. I went to the bank. I paid people to mow my yard because, he can't mow the yard anymore. Like I said, made sure homework got done. I got them ready for football. I took them to football. I tried taking care of myself and went on a walk. But, when I started realizing I hadn't heard from him, I'm calling and calling and calling and begging for the bare minimum of him to watch our fucking daughter.
One of the main problems of men is they put their job before their family. Now, I already know the excuse. They're providing. They're paying for the bills. That may be true, but you're not providing physically and emotionally.
I am 30 years old and I'm literally begging for the bare minimum every single day. I am a married single mom. That's what I am. Yeah, I don't work, but the amount of weight I carry, I have been applying for jobs. I mean, I can tell you right now, the reason women stay in relationships is one, because they don't have the means to leave financially, like a house. Two, the idea of a family. I can tell you why I've stayed. Money. It's that simple. I wanted to be a stay-at-home mom. He used to want me to be a stay-at-home mom. Now he just doesn't care because he doesn't care about anything. I shouldn't have to wake a 32-year-old man up for work. No matter what shift, first, second, third, I shouldn't have to wake him up for work. I shouldn't have to tell him what time to set an alarm if I can't wake him up. I shouldn't have to call or make people go wake him up. I shouldn't tell a grown man that he probably should shower after working all day. I shouldn't have to tell him to brush his teeth. I shouldn't have to tell him to feed his kids while he's taking care of them. I shouldn't have to tell him to watch his kids. I shouldn't have to tell him what to put the kids in when it comes to clothes. I shouldn't have to tell him where the clothes are. He doesn't even know my kids' teachers' names. I shouldn't have to manage his schedule and mine and my kids. I shouldn't have to tell him, hey, you need to refill your medicine. Hey, you need a doctor's appointment. Hey, you should probably get your oil changed. Hey, your brakes don't sound good. Not only tell him, but then I have to call and schedule that oil change because will he do it himself? No. Will he call himself? No. I am raising another kid.
It doesn't require a whole lot of effort to just be a basic husband and father. I'm not saying great, just be a basic husband and father. That's all she's asking for. That's it. Minimum effort. And he can't even provide that.
My heart breaks so much for her, and her situation makes me so sad because the resentment that's just oozing off of her is it's just probably years of having to deal with this. And I can bet you any money that if and when she leaves, that man is gonna think that she is ungrateful. And there are other men out there who's gonna say she's ungrateful because she doesn't work. And of course, we know as women, a lot of men don't recognize that staying home and being a homemaker and being a caretaker of any child, like even one, but multiple children, is work, and mothers don't go off the clock. When you are at your job and you clock out and you leave, you can go do whatever you want to do. A mom's job is 24/7, especially with multiple children. That's unbelievable. Having to tell a man to take a shower, to brush his teeth, you have to be the one to schedule the oil change. You're the one taking care of everybody. It's just that he makes the money. And she probably isn't living any lavish life where she's flourishing and she gets to go spoil herself. She is tired. That woman is tired, and the resentment in her is building up so much to the point where she says she hates him. She's tired. And all that he's going to say is, well, I went to work and I put the food on the table. You're just being ungrateful. And all these women, they just want to take half of your stuff. And these women don't love you. And look at all that I did for you. The only thing that I'll say is, as women, you notice these things in a man, don't have kids with him. And if you have one and you notice these tendencies, do not have a second. Stand up for yourself, your mental health. And you might love him in the beginning and think that, he's going to change and whatever. Don't bank on a man changing. See him change first over a long period of time before you can say, yes, he has changed. And so I will now have a child, or it's okay to have another. This is a sad way to live.
So I need you to stop accepting bare minimum behavior from these men. Too many women are like, well, he texts me good morning at least 2-3 times a day. He texts me in the evening or the afternoon, and he always checks in with me via text, as if that's something that takes effort, as if that's something to shout about when it's really not. He's giving you a little bit and you're accepting a little bit and making it seem like a lot. And what you're doing in that process is setting him up to continue giving you bare minimum behavior. And at some point in the relationship, if it grows, or in the situationship, you are going to realize that you set yourself up for failure, and you set yourself up to continually get the least when you deserve even more than the most, right? Because your worthiness and your value is divine and inherent, and it cannot be quantified. So no matter what someone is giving you, no matter what you're experiencing, even at what feels like the best, you always deserve more. And so does your partner, if that partner is a healthy partner. But when you teach someone that it only takes a good morning text for you to get excited and get hyped, or it only takes a hey big head text or a good night text, and there's no action behind it, there's no planning behind it, there's no intention behind it, your value and your worth actually drops lower and lower in the eyes of that man. So stop allowing men to give you the bare minimum and make them work for you. Make them earn you. Make him understand that it is going to take personal growth and accountability and consistency and action to be a part of your life and stay a part of your life.
I've heard people say before that when you're with a new guy, never tell him the things that you've never had happen to you in your previous relationships. Like, for example, if you've never gotten flowers, you're going to go to this new guy, you're going to say, well, I've never gotten flowers before. He's going to think that getting you flowers is him doing the absolute most for you. And then he expects for you to shower him with appreciation because of the flowers, because you told him that nobody else has ever done it for you. He thinks you should put him on a pedestal as the first person to do that thing.
Reasons why he's keeping you around, even though he's doing the bottom of the barrel, bare minimum. All right. So, ladies, listen up, pay close attention, and do better. Number one, it's an ego boost for him. It's an ego boost for him because he knows that he can have you as an option. You know what I mean? And he knows that you're always going to be there to take him back, even though he doesn't do anything to deserve any of it. Number two, because you don't have standards for yourself and respect yourself. He knows that he can disrespect you and treat you any kind of way. All right. He knows that he can leave you on red. He knows that he can ghost you for about a week or two. And, when he's ready to come back into your life or hit you back with a text, he know that you're going to be right there. You know what I mean? Because you don't respect yourself enough. He's not going to reap any consequences for disrespecting you. And number three, he knows that you're going to give him full access. Full access as if you his wife or his woman, even though he hasn't committed to you in the slightest. Sis, do better. Like it's your part too.
I've said this before, but I'm going to say it again. When a man keeps on coming back into your life, that man who always comes back, do not take that as a compliment. He comes back because he knows you're going to let him come back, and he doesn't have to do anything different for you to allow him access to your life again.
Ladies, here's a very quick tip for you. If you want to know what kind of man you're dating and what he's likely to be like as a partner and potentially a husband, look at how he treats himself, his space, his car, his things. If this man is the guy who doesn't even want to have a coffee table because that's just one more surface to dust, if this man never cleans out his car, if he eats frozen meals on disposable plates so that he doesn't have to do any dishes, if this man just picks up whatever crumpled clothes are nearest to him and doesn't do anything in terms of skincare or hygiene, and if this man is generally just all about doing the bare minimum in his life to get by and in order not to have to make any effort, then why do you think that he's suddenly going to turn around and make any effort in your relationship?
Not only that, but that type of man is going to expect you to take care of him.
So if you meet a guy like this and you start dating him, he might put in like this much effort, but trust me, the way that he treats himself, his space, his things, his car, all of that, that is a really good indicator of how he's going to treat you and how he's going to treat your relationship. Like, that's the energy that he brings into his life in general. So that's the energy that he's going to be bringing into this relationship. But make no mistake, he'll be more than happy for you to bring in more energy, for you to cook him full course meals, do the dishes, decorate his place, do his laundry, all of that. He'll be very happy for you to do that. But if you want him to participate in any of those activities, it'll be like, oh, they're not important to him because they were never important to him when he was on his own. So there you go. Look for men who actually make an effort in areas of their life, in their personal life, in their work, in the way that they keep their house and their car and their possessions. Because those men, the ones who make an effort for themselves, they will be the ones who make an effort for you.
I also heard the advice that you should never be with a man who has never lived by himself. And that one, I can definitely see the value in that advice, because if he's never lived by himself, he doesn't know how to take care of a household. He doesn't understand doing things around the house and keeping the house clean and keeping insects away and stuff like that. So if you move in with him now, he's just gonna expect that you are gonna do that because you're the woman, and you're better at that stuff, or you're good at that stuff. And it's gonna put you in a position where you end up being a trad wife or a trad girlfriend, because he has never had to live on his own and take care of himself, or he has no interest in learning or in being that type of man.
Some of y'all need to hear this. A man being nice to you is the bare minimum. I know we like to be surprised when a man is nice to us, but that's the bare minimum, because a man should be nice to you, period, without you having to ask. That's why I'm the type of person, like, if you come to me and you're like, oh, but like, my man is nice to me, I'm literally gonna tell you that doesn't matter, because he should be nice to you. He should be kind. He should be considerate. He should treat you with respect. Like, all of these things that are in the category of a man being nice, you should be getting anyway. It's not something that's special or unique or something that happens once in a blue moon. Like, he should be doing that all the time. Your man should have a character like that all the time. So when you start thinking about that as a standard and really start thinking like, every man that I meet is supposed to treat me in a nice way, you'll understand just how much a man being nice is the bare minimum. And truly, your standards are your standards. I mean, I can't be someone to tell you this is what your standard should be. But if we're thinking about character and treatment, a man being nice to you is something that you should be able to demand without opening your mouth. And he should be able to respect and read that message loud and clear. It's not rocket science. Don't let people complicate about how you should be treated.
Taking a woman out on dates is the bare minimum. Buying her gifts is the bare minimum. Getting her flowers is the bare minimum. The thing that y'all need to realize is that women have been doing for themselves for so long. They've been, buying themselves gifts, getting themselves flowers, going out on dates, self-reflecting, everything. And the only real thing that they require from you men is for you to actually be a man, which is quite literally the bare minimum. Okay? Y'all need to realize that women have been becoming the men that they have always dreamed of. So excuse her for being Little Miss Independent, but there is not much that you can really offer her that she cannot do for herself. While women do not require much, they will not accept anything less than the bare minimum because they know what they bring to the table. The sad reality is a lot of y'all men will have little to quite literally nothing to bring to the table besides a headache and a heartbreak. But y'all stay safe out here, man.
So earlier this week, I made a video about this woman who was saying that she was asked out on 4 different dates by 4 different men, and they were all walking dates. And I was like, man, the bar is really low. It was bad enough they were asking women out on coffee dates, but now it's walking dates. But I just saw a video from a woman, I think her name is Black Woman Things. And she was talking about how a man was like, you know what, let's just meet in the parking lot of the establishment. Let's check the vibe. See if we're feeling each other before we even go inside, before we even spend time together, before we even spend any money and all that. Let's just meet in the parking lot. So this is what happens when the bar is already low. The men are going to try to make it even lower. It's bad enough that even for the coffee dates, I've heard about dudes arriving for the coffee date early, already ordering their food, sipping on their coffee and waiting for you. And then when you come into the establishment, they tell you, I'm going to stay and hold the seat. Because that's their way of making sure that you buy your own coffee. So even the coffee date wasn't them buying the coffee. Like they were trying to weasel their way out of that. This is what I'm talking about. When you allow them to have the bar low, they'll find a way to make it even lower. And it's not even about the money being spent. It's about the effort level. But walking dates wouldn't be so bad if they actually put some thought into it. Like I read your profile and I saw that you said you always want to do a picnic in the park. Let's walk around the park and then have a picnic. These men want the most from you while offering you the least. Man with some imagination can make the walking date the most romantic thing ever, but some of them lack imagination.
I don't think they lack imagination. I just think they don't care. And they're hoping that you won't notice that the lack of effort means that they don't care.
Do you find yourself speaking in should statements? We spend a lot of time telling ourselves what our partner should be doing. They should be spending more time with me. They should be helping out around the house more. They should be demonstrating care in some capacity. And I get why we do it. Our partner has made us feel that asking for these things is asking for too much. But I think that when we get stuck in the pattern of shoulds, it prevents us from seeing the reality. Should they be doing these things? Should they be spending more time with their family or helping out around the house or staying away from the bar or not flirting with other people? Yeah, they should. And if they had the same values as you, they would. But they don't. So they don't do these things that you think they should do. But instead of really seeing that, we spend our time trying to convince them that they should be behaving in certain ways and they should be valuing the things that we value. So maybe you set some boundaries. Maybe you try to force compliance to get them to behave the way you like. But what you need to do is see their behavior as a reflection of who they are and what they value. And realizing that all that stuff that you're doing that's driving you crazy because they're not behaving the way that you think they should is really just trying to change who they are at their core. You can't change people. And this is why they feel like your boundaries are controlling. They don't respect your boundaries because they don't value what you value. So why are you trying to change them? Instead, you need to accept that that is who they are and decide that they're not the right person for you.
She said everything so perfectly. You're trying to change him, trying to get him to behave a certain way. you have to realize that he's behaving exactly how he wants to behave because that's who he is. And you trying to change him and you trying to get him to do what you want him to do is you trying to change the person that he is. It's either he is that guy or he's not. And if he's not, no problem, walk away and leave him alone. But trying to change him, trying to tell him what he should do, who he should be, what would be better for him to do, how would be better for him to act, we gotta leave those types of behaviors alone because it's gonna get us nowhere. We're only gonna be more frustrated and he's just gonna resent us for trying to change him. Makes no sense.
Whenever women come in my comment section and they say, I'm so lucky my husband doesn't check out other women, part of my heart breaks because it's actually just the bare minimum. And I know this is a huge conversation that happens on social media, how women are expected to be so thankful for the bare minimum. But like, faithfulness is the bare minimum. And until we realize that, we create this conversation where men feel like they are blessing women they're with by just being faithful. That should not be something that you're like, I'm so lucky he doesn't look at other women. That is just what you do when you enter a monogamous relationship. And I know so many women have been in relationships where a man is unfaithful, where he gets caught doing something, whether it's on the internet or it's an actual affair. So they do have this mindset of like, oh my gosh, you're so lucky that you found a guy that is good. But I think a lot of this is just the result of being in a culture where everything is so sexualized, right? Like you can be looking at like a bra ad and the woman is like, oh, being overtly sexual. Like the other day a Skims commercial popped up on my phone and I was like, why is this so sexual when you're just trying to sell like a bra? And I guess that's like this is the result of a culture that's so sexualized where women are expected to be so sexual. Now we have to applaud men when they actually have self-control. I don't know. Like, I have self-control. It's not that big of a deal. It's not that big of a deal to be faithful to your partner and everyone should do it. And honestly, I think women should just go ahead and expect faithfulness. Like, don't applaud a man for being faithful. Applaud him for taking you on fun dates regularly. Faithfulness, that should just be a given.
I had to tell my boyfriend that I wanted him to like plan more dates for us and I wanted us to go on more date night.
Okay, something that I think about often whenever I hear people, either online or in real life, ask for advice on how to get slightly better treatment than just like the bare minimum, is that I often question, like, God damn, when are we going to evolve out of this? Because I sometimes feel like these problems that are often faced in relationships that often sound like you're just trying to get a little bit more than the bare minimum, sometimes it feels like a mechanism to keep us away from the meat and potatoes of real love. You know what I'm saying? Because I am a believer. I'm a believer of love. And I believe that love has so much more to offer than trying to figure out how to like keep a boyfriend interested in a relationship as if it's like a 3-year-old toddler and you feel like you gotta hand them an iPad so that they're still like a little bit entertained, you know? But I don't know how to explain it. Like, I refuse to believe that these are the problems that we should be trying to solve in our relationships. Because I do believe that, like, love can be this glorious, beautiful thing. And I don't necessarily think that it's like this Disney-fied thing. My expectations are not within that realm. But I do feel like it can be a very powerful, beautiful thing. But with that, it should come with its set of like complexities. But when are we getting to that? When are we gonna get to that? Because we're still trying to figure out how to get a text back. We're still trying to figure out how to get a little bit more than the bare minimum. And this is not like a criticism of like the individual, but just like of the culture when it comes to dating. It's like, God damn, when are we gonna stop complaining about the same stupid shit? I'm over it.
Ladies, it's time that we stop accepting the bare minimum and realizing that we do deserve better than begging for a text back, begging for a call back, asking more than a walking date. I didn't even know that that was a thing. Like, that's so new to me. I've heard about coffee dates, and there was a time when I thought, well, I mean, a coffee date isn't that bad. But then after hearing the stories of the coffee dates, I realized that the coffee date is just the cheapest, most low effort way that he can get you to go out with him. And that just makes me so sad because why would you look at a woman and think to yourself, what is the cheapest way that I can get her out? So we have to start demanding more for ourselves. We have to start deciding that, hey, I deserve better than this. No, I'm not going to accept that date. No, I'm not going to that place. No, this is not how you're going to treat me. And also, the best thing that we can do is stand on our boundaries and be willing to walk away. If you're not willing to walk away, you're always going to get the bare minimum. You're always going to be mistreated because he knows that however he treats you, you're always going to be there. You're always going to stay because you don't feel like you have another option. There is no man that's such a good catch that he is the best thing that could have ever happened to you. And so you have to accept his disrespect and his abuse and his bare minimum behavior. There's none. Share your thoughts in the comment section below. Let me know what you think. As always, thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next video.